Welcome to Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned for professional wrestling. Coming to you from the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome, I'm your host, Benjamin Burrows.
I am one voice that stands alone. I am one choice to man the throne. Stand guard and take shots, give it all I got. All I got is this microphone.
And it is a great and glorious day to be out selling your products and selling your services, for you are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold, until you sell it. This is Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. I'm your host, Benjamin Burrows, and we are coming to you from the fabulous Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. It is 2 weeks removed from the tornado that took off part of the roof, that dropped a little rain inside the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome, but we are back on track. The repairs are done. Sonny Thunder and his staff are back at it, hard at work, training young men and women to be the best and greatest professional wrestlers in the world. And I am honored to be here in the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome ring, right in the middle, on a stool, bringing you this Grunt to Groan podcast. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to listen to our podcast and to support us. I want to thank everybody who has purchased the book, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. If you like the book, go on to Amazon.com and write me a review. That does just wonders for movement of the book and the way they place the book. So if you like the book, please go on Amazon.com and write a review. If you haven't purchased the book yet, it makes a great Christmas present because we are right around the corner from the big man in red coming down the chimney, hanging out with all the gifts. So if you have a sales professional in your life, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling, the book is perfect for them. Also on Amazon.com, we have all of our Grunt to Groan branded merchandise. We have the book cover long sleeve tee. We have the book cover hoodie, both available on Amazon.com. And then we have t-shirts on Amazon.com, officially branded by Grunt to Groan, with our catchphrase that sales professionals are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold. So support us here at Grunt to Groan, support the staff, purchase some of our merchandise, our book off Amazon.com. We appreciate that. And if you have any thoughts, any comments, good, bad, and or otherwise, don't be afraid to email me at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. That's greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. I love your feedback, and I will answer each and every email, whether it is good, whether it is bad, positive, and or negative. That's greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. And I'm excited for this week because I was thinking, how could we spice things up a little bit? How could we do some kind of branding tie-in to professional wrestling, as well as maybe a top five? So I wanted to kind of tie branding, a top five, professional wrestling, and the profession of sales all into one podcast. And I came up with, on this podcast, branding lessons learned from professional wrestling. And I think I'm going to do this every third Monday of the month, where we're going to take a look back over the last 30 days and see what professional wrestlers or what professional wrestling organizations, what have they done to either enhance or hurt their brand? What have they done to either enhance it or hurt it? And what's the lesson that we can learn as sales professionals? Now, I've incorporated a little help from Mad Dog Fred, the ugly monkey boy, on this, and we've come up with a top five that we think is pretty strong when it comes to branding and whether it enhances or hurts. And what's the lesson? What's the lesson that we as sales professionals can learn? And you know, branding is very, very important. It's very important to a sales professional. I subscribe to Nick Naton And Nick Naton is a Hollywood brander. He is has a business called Celebrity Branding. And recently I got an email from Nick and said, which Hollywood strategies can you apply to your business? And this is important for us. This is good stuff for us. Number one on his list was figure out what sets you apart. There is no such thing as a generic celebrity. They all have a very unique skill, trait, or physical ability. So when you're branding yourself as a sales professional, figure out what sets you apart. What makes you different from your competition? And again, this is from Nick Nanton, Celebrity Branding. Number two, dress for the job or client that you want, not the one that you have. No celebrity waits until they are famous to start dressing and acting the part. A couple of years ago read Steven Tyler's book, Does the Noise Inside My Head Make You Crazy? And in that book, Steven Tyler talked about how Aerosmith was never the best band on any given night that they played. They were never the best band in the venue. They were never the best band on the bill. But early on, he learned that they were the only band that would load in their jeans and their T-shirts, and then before going on stage, put on stage or show clothes. He learned that one little thing about the way that he dresses changed the image of the band and the way that fans saw the band. Bobby Darin once said that people don't hear what they hear. They hear what they see. So dress for the job that you want. Dress for the client that you want, not the job or the client that you already have. That can go back to point number one and set you apart from the competition. Point number three from Nick Nanton, leverage the media. If there's one thing that Hollywood celebrities know how to do, it's leverage the power of the media. Well, our media might be limited. Our media might be limited to social media like LinkedIn. It might be limited to emails. And it might be limited to physically appearing in front of the client. And we have to learn how to leverage that. We have to learn how to leverage our emails, how we communicate. Number four, this is what I found most crucial out of these five from Nick Nanton, and that's embrace a cause or a charity. What cause or charity is on your heart? Celebrities routinely endorse or partner with causes and charities. For me, it has to do with veterans. I do some work with wounded warriors. I do some work with hogs and heroes. I'm always looking for ways to help strengthen the veteran community. I'm a disabled vet, so that only makes sense. I understand the struggles that our veterans are going through. So whether it's your church, it's your athletic league, your social club, whether it's for the American Red Cross, breast cancer, we have to give back. We're called to give back. Embrace a cause or a charity. Number five from Nick Nanton, and again, this is from Celebrity Branding. Never forget that it's your fans who ultimately make you famous. For us, never forget it is our clients that make us famous. It is our clients that make us successful. It is our support team that makes us famous. It is our support team that makes us successful. It is the manufacturers we represent, the companies we represent, the services we represent. At the end of the day, it's all of these folks that make us celebrity sales professionals. Now, I thought I'd throw that in as we jump into branding this week. That is Nick Nanton. You can look him up online, celebrity branding. The article this came from was which Hollywood strategies can you apply to your business? Now, I'd like to move into our branding lessons from professional wrestling. Over the last 30 days, what brand either enhanced or hurt itself, and what can we learn about that as sales professionals? And Dave LeRae has a drum roll ready, and Dave, you know I'm not into those kinds of gimmicks, so let's not get into drum rolls and all of that. We're just going to run through them because I know you out there listening to the podcast, you're too busy for all the nonsense and the bells and the whistles. But if you want the bells and the whistles, email me. Let me know. You say, I'm a flexible guy. Don't tell my wife, please. So coming in at number 5, what professional wrestling brands over the last 30 days enhanced or hurt themselves? And coming in at number 5, I have the biggest of all the professional wrestling federations, the WWE. And I have them coming in at number 5 because they put on a show in Saudi Arabia called Crown Jewel. Now, the WWE took a lot of heat for making the decision to not cancel this event, Crown Jewel, in Saudi Arabia. That happened a couple weekends ago. Now, the heat they were given was over the controversy that Saudi Arabia finds itself in, the political situation that Saudi Arabia finds itself in with the death of the reporter from the Washington Post. And I could do all kinds of comment on that. I'll leave that to CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and ABC and Comedy Central and everyone else reporting the news. But the WWE faced a situation where they either moved forward or they backed down. And their decision was to move forward with the show Crown Jewel. They decided that it was a calculated risk that had financial reward. And it proved a financial reward for Vince McMahon and the WWE. According to DirtySheets.com, the WWE's reason for moving forward was more reward than risk. $500 million in reward. Dirty Sheets reports that the WWE has a 10-year, $500 million contract with Saudi Arabia to produce shows in that country. You see, the WWE, if they had canceled the show, would have lost money. Dirty Sheets also reports that Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman has offered Vince McMahon and the WWE family $7 billion to buy the WWE brand. So you can see the investment and the financial reward the WWE has with its relationship with Saudi Arabia. As a matter of fact, Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman wants first right of refusal for the WWE if they ever sell. So for Vince McMahon and company, there was a lot of risk in continuing on with the show, and they took a lot of heat for continuing on with the show. But it was a calculated risk with great financial reward. And the branding lesson that we can learn as sales professionals is it is okay to take a calculated risk. You know, sometimes we have to sell a lead-in product a little bit less and make a little bit less as part of a calculated risk to win more business at a higher percentage of profit. It's a calculated risk. And as we brand ourselves and we grow in our careers as sales professionals, we have to start looking at calculated risk more and more and more. We need to know when to move forward with a calculated risk and when not to move at all. For the WWE, it is a $7.5 billion risk calculated with financial reward. Coming in at number 4, wrestling brands over the last 30 days that have either enhanced or hurt their brand. By the way, I think the WWE enhanced their brand. Coming in at number 4, Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis is the National Wrestling Alliance's World Heavyweight Champion. This was a title that was dead up until just a year or maybe 2 ago. At the NWA's 70th anniversary wrestling show held in Nashville, Tennessee, Nick Aldis defeated the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. For the NWA, this is a crucial pivoting point for the brand, as the Aldis Rhodes series of matches have shined new light on this once considered dying brand. But I think the real brand winner here is Nick Aldis. You know, he lost the belt at All In. And he has no ties with the WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor, where after losing the belt, he had somewhere to go. So what Aldis could do was pull himself up after being knocked down and go out and prove to the world that he deserves to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And on the Sirius XM show, Busted Open, he told Bully Ray and Dave DeGreca, the host, that he would welcome one more match with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And he knows what that would do for his career. To me, the Aldis brand, Nick Aldis, found the drive for victory. And in my opinion, that is a vital and bright part of professional wrestling's future. That wrestlers like Nick Aldis have that kind of drive. That when they are knocked down, they are willing to get back up. So the branding lesson that I think sales professionals, that I, as a sales professional, have learned from this is never give up. And when you get knocked down, get back up. You know, we live in a world of rejection as sales professionals where no is as common and routine as getting up in the morning. But as sales professionals, we know that every no brings us closer to a yes. For example, I have been over 5 months just gaining an introduction appointment with a prospective client. And last week, that client finally met with me. And I am on the move to making that prospect a client. And not just a client, an A client. Remember, never give up, never give up, never give up. Coming in at number 3, wrestling brands over the last 30 days that have either enhanced or hurt themselves. And what does that mean to us as a sales professional? Coming in at number 3, I have Primal Conflict Wrestling. Out of the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia and Northern Virginia. Owned by Tyler Steele, Primal Conflict is an independent wrestling promotion that has shows in Northern Virginia, the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, down toward Elkins, West Virginia. And a couple of weeks ago, Primal Conflict Wrestling expanded into the city of Philadelphia. Now, geographically, Philadelphia and Northern Virginia, Philadelphia and the Panhandle, the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia are two different worlds apart. And Primal Conflict Wrestling made the decision to try and expand into Philadelphia to grow their brand, to grow their audience. They partnered with the Chiquera Wrestling Center and put on a show. Following the show, Steele posted on his social media page that the show was moderately successful, but more importantly, Steele and his company learned some valuable lessons about expanding their brand. And that right there is an important branding lesson for sales professionals like you and like me. We cannot be afraid to expand our presence. We cannot be afraid to expand our brand. We cannot be afraid to expand that in our vertical, in our marketplace, and with our clients. As a sales professional, if you are afraid to expand, you will eventually fail. Your brand will fail. So when you are challenged to capture more share of wallet, understand you're expanding your brand. It's an opportunity for you to expand your brand. Coming in at number 2, wrestling brand that either enhanced or hurt itself. By the way, I think Primal Conflict enhanced their brand. Coming in at number 2, I'm going to say it's the Young Bucks. The young tag team known as the Young Bucks. You see, the Young Bucks and their company, Killing the Business, Inc., have filed for trademark protection for both the All In brand, the name of the show they promoted with Cody Rhodes, which sold out in under 30 minutes. Ridiculous. And trademark protection for the Young Bucks brand. This is a brilliant move for these young superstars because they can now control their brands no matter what the future holds for them. You see, too many times, young wrestling stars go to organizations like the WWE, and they lose both their identity and their brand. Now, if the Young Bucks decide to partner with the likes of the WWE, they know that their brand will be protected. This enhances the Young Bucks brand. The branding lesson for us as sales professionals to learn is it is up to us to protect our brand. At the end of the day, nobody else is going to protect your brand like you will. And we can't expect anybody else to do it. We can't expect any company we represent, any company we work for, we can't expect them to protect our brand. It is up to us. I say to help protect your brand, make sure that you stick to personal selling, which I refer to a lot in the book, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. Make sure that your personality shines in front of your clients as much or more than the products you are representing. You're the face of those products. Protect your brand. And number one, I had a flip up. I had a toss up on this. I was going to go with Ronda Rousey. You know, the MMA fighter who jumped over to the WWE. She hasn't been a professional wrestler long, and she was named Pro Wrestling Illustrated's number one female wrestler in the top 100 ranking of female wrestlers. You have to think that that would enhance your brand. But in thinking about that, I think it's actually hurt her brand. And again, listening to Sirius XM's Busted Open, Bully Ray and Dave DeGreca, they were debating some of this on their program today. That's what I was going to go with as number one. What I'm going to go with as number one, though, is an independent wrestler by the name of Marco Stunt. Now, look, Marco Stunt is not a big, burly professional wrestler. He doesn't have 23-inch pythons, brother. He doesn't have, I would say, the electric charisma of someone like The Rock. He's not a big guy. I would put him in a classification as a daredevil. He is a high flyer. This kid can do some moves. And he is taking the independent wrestling world by storm. Or stunt. Dave the Ray didn't want me to say that. You know, this kid is making the most out of what he has. He's making the most of his size. He's making the most of his strength. He's making the most of his speed. He's making the most of his acrobatic ability. And I wouldn't say he's a master of any of those, but combined, he's one heck of a wrestler. He's one heck of a showman. Mr. Fun Size, Marco Stunt. And I'd like to say Marco has enhanced his brand over the last 30 days more than any other independent wrestler that I've seen or that I follow. Now, I don't follow them all. So if you're an independent wrestler out there and you think I got this wrong or you're making the same kinds of moves, man, let me know. I'll give you props on next week's podcast. But this is someone that I follow. Marco Stunt. Mr. Fun Size. And he recently, from what I read on social media, broke his fibula, I think it was. He's broke a bone, so he's going to be out of commission for a while. So he may not hold this number one spot very long. But the fact that when you think about Brock Lesnar or Daniel Bryan or Charlotte Flair or Ronda Rousey, the fact that you think of any of these great professional wrestlers out there, you have to say in the last 30 days, it's quite an accomplishment for Marco Stunt to be the brand we learn from, the number one brand we learn from. He has taken everything that he has and packaged himself as a successful professional wrestler. And if you could do that with your brand, you would be successful as a sales professional. I would be more successful as a sales professional. He understands his limitations, and he understands his strengths, and he knows how to make them both work for him. Personally, watching Marco Stunt over the past, especially 14 days, has forced me to reevaluate my own brand. So I want to thank Mr. Fun Size for that. And I hope that with that you take a look at your branding, and that you take a look at your branding a little more seriously, and you understand that there's only one brand that you as a sales professional have to protect, to hold, and to cherish, and that brand is you. It is you. So with that, I'm going to close this podcast of Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. Thank you for listening to us for this week. Hey, this is week number 26. How impressive is that? We're heard by over 3,000 people in 17 different countries in only 26 weeks. So I want to thank you for that. If you want to write me, do that at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. That's greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Benjamin Burrows. You can follow me on Twitter at Great American Thunder at Real Ben Burrows. Thank you for tuning in to Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned for Professional Wrestling. Remember, you are the Great American Thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold. So quit listening to me. Get out there. Sell something.
One choice to man the throne. Stand guard and take shots. Give it all I got. All I got is this microphone. I am my thoughts, my skill displayed.